What's going on, people? So, I'm about to unbox a couple action figure type related things, maybe a couple shirts, something like that. I didn't really feel like making an actual video because sometimes I just kind of don't. So, I'm going to pull an old trick out of the Pain 82 book and just basically do this in a live setting and do it that way, right? And also, while I do, probably just talk about random stuff to whoever happens to show up and wants to talk about random stuff. So, kicking that whole thing off, as far as random stuff to be talked about, moments ago, I was watching a video from Trady Kicks. It was his last YouTube video and was actually his last YouTube video, right? So I was looking at that. Hey, Shawn, what's going on, man? Why aren't the chats showing up? Sometimes the chat things don't always show up everywhere. It's weird because like on the YouTube live, you got to switch over to live chat because if you switch, keep it on top chat, sometimes certain things just kind of don't make it all the way over there. What is this? Oh, I, Spotify sent me an invite the other day, and they're like, "Hey, you want to test out this thing?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I gave them some money, and they gave me this. Apparently, it's just like a Spotify specific device, So you just keep that in your car. That way, you can leave your phone free to do phone stuff, and you just have this little Spotify thing that does all the Spotify stuff. So it seems kind of cool. So I figured I'll see what that's all about. But yeah, so Trady was talking about his doing his final YouTube video, right? And that's a thing that I talk about every so often. I drop a little hint once in a while. Because the thing is, like, how long can one person really do this? Now, I'm sure a lot of you would agree that, yeah, like, if you are in that, you're probably always going to continue to buy the things that you're interested in, sure. But does that mean you want to talk about them all the time until the end of time? Probably not. So, got some wrestling shirts here. This one is Leo Rush, right? The man of the hour, which is what Moth stands for. It took me forever to put that together. And this one is an Adam Cole shirt. So there's that. Mom and I are headed off to Charlotte this weekend to go see AEW because they're going to be in Charlotte this weekend. So I bought us some shirts to wear to the event. And so I'm thinking, okay, this is cool to do. Getting back on topic. This is cool to do, sure. But for how long, right? Because I'm coming up on my 3 year mark, which will be in like 19 days. Depends how you want to do the math. 19 or 17, depending on which date you want to actually go with. And this is entertaining. Don't get me wrong. I've met some cool people and stuff, right? But this it's still the question of like how much is enough. And I kind of feel like I may have actually hit that mark. I still make the reviews and stuff because it's something that I do enjoy doing. It's fun. I've met some cool people doing it. Gives me a little outlet for some creativity once in a while. And so Fanatics puts all kinds of nonsense in their bags. I don't know if anybody else shops with Fanatics, but I do once in a while. And so all that stuff is cool, but at the same time, I can't help but ask myself, like, so why am I doing this though? Like, originally it was it's a sleeveless Hawkeyes hoodie, right? I'm an Iowa kind of guy. I don't know if everybody knows that or not, but that's where I'm from, so that's the reason. And so I look at all that stuff and I'm thinking, okay, like I've met some cool people. That's fine, right? And I still can even without that. But when I think about the whole reason I got into this, it was basically just to kind of get some information out to some people, whoever might need it. And there's a lot of ways to do that. And there's also a certain amount of how much do you need to do that, right? Because I don't need to tell every Tom, Dick, and Harry about like every shoe that I buy, do I? No, I don't. Because you know what? There's a whole lot of information out there already. It's good to have different perspectives. I'll give it that. But at the end of the day, I think it's somewhat unnecessary. Anybody out there who's a wrestling fan and has been for a while might know Luna Vachon. This was what do you call it, like a limited release from Pro Wrestling Tees. A lot of the times when they do their limited releases, it's basically pre-order only. So you make your pre-order and they only make as many as they got for pre-orders. But yeah, so I look at it and I'm just like, I've done this for a while. Like I've made some kind of impact on some amount of people because they say it in the comments and stuff. And then after that, it's like, I think I'm okay. So I don't know. It's something that I'm thinking about, is like, as far as how much longer I'm really going to care to do this. Because what more is there to do? I could reinvent some things, maybe start taking a different approach. That might keep it a little fresh or whatever. But what is this? Something like, oh, okay. It says right there, like Jeff Hardy Ultimate Edition. I was wondering what this thing was that came in like a Mattel Toys package. But yeah, so I don't think I need to stick around here to, get the words out on things or whatever. And at the same time, it's like, as cool as it is and as, I don't know, helpful as it's been, like, it still takes a certain amount of my time. This is a Jeff Hardy Ultimate Edition figure, which is probably going to be the last, is going to be the last one of these. So you can't really tell, but it's got some pretty nice detailing on these extra faces and stuff. Now this was an Amazon exclusive, right? So I don't know why, but it was. So seems kind of cool. And I made the order, and I think it was right after he was fired or whatever. So yeah. But anyways, I'm just not sure about this whole YouTube thing. There's enough people doing it, Like, I don't think they really need me anyway. Some people like some of the things that I do, as far as, it's all about how you do it, having your personality or whatever. And so when I watch certain people, that's the thing that I look for, I like to see the different ways people present stuff. Because anybody can go and pick up a Yeezy 450 and talk about it and tell you, oh, it fits like this, it looks like that, it smells like this, it feels like that. Right? Anybody can do that. But it's what you do along the way. Oh, okay, this is the Britt Baker thing. So this must be from Ringside Collectibles. This was a crazy match. Like, she was all bloodied up afterwards with like the thumbtacks and the table and stuff. It was crazy, man. For lack of a better way to describe it, my vocabulary, it's only so big. I do know some other words that I bust out once in a while, but the thing is, I don't always bust those out because you don't need to be some, like sesquipedalian and show off all the words because you can get your point across being simple. Sometimes less is more, right? Hey, Chilltown, what's going on, man? Appreciate you stopping by. He's also a guy that does the YouTube thing. He doesn't just do like the standard approach of like, I'm just gonna knock out a shoe review once in a while. No. He's got the fitness challenges, he's got the battles, of course. He's got just general like recaps of things. He's got the maybe not necessarily daily, but shoes come in, he talks about them, brings some people on, they talk about some stuff they got. Kind of like what I'm doing in a way, but not really with anybody else. Yeah. So I did not realize when I ordered this set that it had a Vince McMahon Build-A-Figure thing going on. So each one of those characters is going to come with a piece of him, right? So Stone Cold Steve Austin. Not bad. I don't have a lot of Stone Cold figures, which is somewhat surprising in a way, considering I feel like I'm a wrestling fan and all that stuff. AJ Styles, also, same goes with him. This is actually my first AJ Styles figure. So this is from the Boneyard match, because these are WrestleMania figures, right? So they're all going to be based off of WrestleMania things. Now, I actually kind of wanted that shirt, but for some reason I just never got around to buying it. And now it's basically like not something I can buy because it's a thing that has gone by the wayside. Shawn Michaels, who I was just talking about not too long ago. This is him more in his normal style, not so much like he was in that old man picture I showed the other day. See? So, man, that is one heck of a thing he's wearing there, right? Like this. I mean, he was a pretty snazzy dresser. There was some times when he was just kind of doing a little much. But overall, it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was never like, yeah, I wish I had like an open vest with a bunch of like chains and a bunch of frilly gold on the side. I don't know that I could pull that off, but he made it work. And then Bret Hart, right? So I think if that's the WrestleMania 2010, so 26 or was it 27? Either way, 26. So this right here from this WrestleMania 26 was actually the first one I ever went to. It was in, I think it was in Phoenix. No, it was somewhere in Arizona. But it was also the last Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, the streak versus the career. Bret Hart competed. So I always wanted to see Bret Hart wrestle, but apparently, it wasn't meant to be because Goldberg exists and destroyed Bret Hart's wrestling career. Part of the reason I don't like Goldberg right there, honestly. But it is what it is. I was able to at least see him perform in some kind of manner. So that was a cool moment, at least for me. So yeah, normally I don't really buy the whole sets of these figures, but this time around, I couldn't help it. And it was only 4 of them, so it was not as expensive as the last round of figures that I bought. Because when you buy is it 6 or is it 7? I forget. I think it's 6. Like you buy 6 figures, it's like in a pack or whatever. Each one is like $23, $24. It adds up. It really does. So, and that's cool, like you get something you want. Your money goes a little bit farther than when you're buying shoes. If I spend like $130 on a pair of shoes, I get the 1. I spend $130 on some figures, I get the 6. Right? So that's pretty nice. But yeah, so got those all opened up. And like I said, I was just kind of sitting here talking about things. But yeah, going back to what I opened with and watching like the whole tradey thing. Yeah, it's a thing that I've been thinking about for a while because it's like I didn't set like any expiration date. And even on my, what was it? There was a milestone that I hit where I did the promo when I was sitting in the car. Can't remember which one. Was it the 850? It might have been 850. But either way, I said something about like how long am I going to do this? I guess until I find something else to do with my time. And so whenever I find something else to do with my time, sure. What in the world? Chip is here. That guy. Do you have one sneaker of the year? You know what? I do. And here's the thing, right? Because of the type, I have it. That should be that box right there. Because I was just talking about this during a live thing this morning. So give me a second. Once I get back on the screen, I'll start talking again. Wait, did I forget to put those? Oh, no, those are supposed to be on the side. So I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. I got a lot of stuff this year that was pretty all right. And a lot of it that got a lot of attention on the videos and stuff because, certain things get more attention than others. But this right here is the clear winner for me. Like, as you know, I do my share of the outdoor activities and the walking, the running, all that, the stuff, right? But when it comes to trail shoes, there are slim pickings to say the least. And this Pegasus Trail 3 right here, this was like the best one that I have encountered in a long while, And unlike a lot of them, they have a lot of different colors. The price is good and they're super available because no one's really buying them, right? And with this whole React midsole thing going down here, it's super comfortable, yet still gives you like the durability you need for being on a trail. So I bought these for me, and I bought 2 other pairs for mom and dad, right? So when they came up here, we went out, we went down the trails and all this good stuff, walked around for an hour or 2. They were really into them. They took them back to their home when they left, and they wear them all the time, going out and walking around and stuff. So even my mom and dad are into them, right? So that's a real world test, I guess, if you want to call it that. But this right here, this will be my shoe of the year easily, just because it's so good at what it does, and what it does is hard to come by. Not the answer most people probably expected, unless you think about who you're actually asking. But yeah, that's the honest truth. Now, as far as like other things that were, I guess more of a mainstream sort of deal. I mean, the Ultra Boost 22 has been pretty solid. I can't say a whole lot about it because I've only worn them so much, but they took everything about the 21, kept the good stuff, added a couple tweaks that you didn't know you wanted, and made an overall better experience. And I was like, well, that's fantastic. Let's see. Hey, JJ all day. What's going on? And he says, that's a unique shoe. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, trust me, like you probably know. I know. I'm pretty sure I've seen you talk about something with React in it. The React midsole is no joke, right? It really isn't. But past that, let's see. What else came out this year that really? I mean, the Midwest Kids Forum 84 Low. That was really good. I really like the way that came out. So that definitely gets a good thumbs up from me. Actually, pretty much all of Adidas's collaborations that they did, because I got the Home Alones, the Krusty Burgers, the Flaming Moe's, a couple things from Nice Kicks. I got some Packer Ultra 40s. Those Packers were like expensive though. They were a 250 retail, but they're really nice. And luckily I had like a 10% off coupon, so that brought it down like a little bit. Still more than I wanted to pay, but like really good. And those Houndstooth New Balance 991s, the made in England ones, those are really good too. The Nike Metcon 7. You said this year was. I haven't tried a pair of those. It looks like something that I would have though, honestly, because you know how over time you get your idea of what you like to have, and that I saw those and I was like, man, these are doing all right by me. But for whatever reason, sometimes you just kind of forget about stuff, I guess. It happens. I can't tell you how many times I've missed out on things because I see it and I want it, but I forget. Like the up tempos that came out a few, maybe several months ago. They're like a midnight navy and gray. It's not their first time coming out. The first time they came out, I saw them. I waited for a sale because I knew they'd go on sale. This was like 2019. They went on sale, but then I felt like these have to go a little bit lower because it wasn't the level of sale I would expect. And waiting for a deeper discount was kind of my downfall, so I ended up going without. But I think it was when I went to pick up the Dark Concord 12s. I saw them in Jimmy Jazz, and I picked them up then, which was cool because I still was able to get a small discount, like in the store. And I got them earlier than the other wide release with like Finish Line and Foot Locker and all those guys. So my review in some ways was early, but only because, you know, it just technically hadn't released everywhere else on their second wave. So in my opinion, it was still like late because that's a review I should have done in 2019. Though in 2019, my reviews were probably not so good. They're still okay right now, so I don't even know if I'd consider them great. Let's see. Gone AWOL. Question: why was Brock in the title? Like that right there was not something I wanted to see. I mean, JJ answered the question, yeah, but as soon as he popped up in that match, I was worried for Big E. I truly was. And I was like, I saw what happened to Kofi for no reason at all. He has this long string of wins, good wins. And then Brock Lesnar comes around and like, yeah, the news at the time being, well, SmackDown's going to Fox and they want their champion to be somebody everybody knows, so they put Brock Lesnar in there. And now the same thing happened yesterday. It's like Brock Lesnar is taken out of one title match, puts into another one, and then he wins. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I'm kind of glad I didn't do one of those. I was going to do this yesterday while I watched that, but I'm kind of glad I didn't, because for one, the overall show wasn't all that great. And two, I wasn't trying to see that. Let's see. Nah, well, I'm not sure what Damien's saying that in reference to. But yeah, I knew it was coming. Hey, Big E, what's going on? I mean, E Money, what's going on? See, I'm still thinking about Big E here. But yeah, man, I'm wondering like what their original plans were, right? Because let's just say that Big E had been able to just have his match however it was laid out days beforehand, and Brock Lesnar wasn't involved. Like, I'm curious how long they were going to let Big E run with the belt. He seemed to be doing okay. I only watched so closely, but he seemed to be doing all right. So I was like, okay, hopefully this goes for a good while. At least till WrestleMania, let him get like a big win in there or something. And now, no. So maybe he'll get back into the title picture at some point. That's just lets you know that Brock was going to beat Roman. I hope he was, because like, I mean, I've never been like a big Roman Reigns fan. He wronged me personally at a couple live pay-per-views that I spent a lot of money to go to. Royal Rumble 2015, WrestleMania 2015 and 16, something else, Survivor. Well, at the end, Sheamus saved Survivor Series 2015. But yeah, I've never really been big on the thing. I will admit that yes, he's doing the best version of him that he's done, period. So that seems to be working out in his favor. But the damage is done. So the dude, no, gets a no from me. So I would like to see Brock Lesnar beat him, you know? Let's see. And then there's Damien spreading lies. Let's see. No, I think he was going to lose and they would run it back at WrestleMania. Roman is untouchable right now. Yeah, I mean, that is the general consensus, right? Like that he's just. But here's my problem, right? Like, it's one thing that he's the champ, and I'm not a huge fan of that, sure. But the thing is, they haven't really done a good job of keeping any like credible opponents. So, like when I used to watch wrestling in like the late '90s, right? When it came time for like Royal Rumble time or something, there would always be at least a solid like 4 or 5 names that you saw and you're like, okay, this could go any one of these ways. Or like they might have a triple threat match at a pay-per-view and you'd be like, man, like Mankind is just as likely to win this as Triple H, but you know, like Chris Jericho could pull this win off too. You know, you wouldn't know which way it was going to go, but any way could be a pretty good timeline or storyline, whatever you want to call it. But now I look at it and I see what things are, and it's like, okay, Roman Reigns is there just kind of doing whatever, and nobody else has been set up in a way to really be, I don't know, an opposing force against him. They built up John Cena, and then that kind of didn't really go anywhere. Then who was that? I forget who all else they built, like Finn Balor. They acted like, now Finn Balor is pretty awesome. I'm a fan of the guy, but after seeing how everything else had gone, it's like, look, as good as this dude is, even though he deserves a good win here and there, like you know he's not gonna get it. So you're watching it like, okay, like hopefully at least the match is good. Let's see. I'm tired of him and the Usos. You know, like the Usos, like last night, I was able to put all that stuff to the side because the Usos versus the New Day is almost always guaranteed to be solid, right? And last night was a really good opener. Like it was anybody who had to follow that sucks to be you. So they are good for their performance. One thing I'm not a fan of is that one of them got a DUI recently, and then I mean maybe they got in trouble behind the scenes, but on TV it looks like okay, so he just can do whatever he wants and that's fine because he's in a popular story right now. To me, that sends the wrong message, right? So that I do not like. Let's see. The sad part is WWE hasn't built anyone. Yeah, exactly. They they should always have like a couple other people because they'll have somebody come out on the TV or whatever, and they'll introduce them, and be like, "Oh yeah, this is the former WWE champion, oh Dolph Ziggler." It's like, yeah, at a time that meant something, but now he's just Dolph Ziggler, who is just on TV with Bobby Roode just doing mostly nothing, right? So you can't say, oh, yeah, he was a champion before, and then just think about what he did like 6, 7, 10 years ago, whatever, and then look at him now. Like, no, like you have to stay relevant, you know? You can't just like leave for some long period of time unless you are amazing for an extended period of time. So like if Shawn Michaels came back right now, it'd be like, okay, wow, like it's Shawn Michaels. Like this is something amazing is gonna happen, right? I mean, obviously not because he's like crazy old. You saw that figure I did, like money saw it. But you get what I'm saying. Like he had a legacy behind him. And now all these other people are just kind of like flash in the pan, you know? It's like what's that guy's name? Rosenberg, I think, or maybe it was like the guy that had like, or maybe it was like that Sam dude. Several pay-per-views ago, several NXTs ago, right? NXT takeovers. Shayna Baszler was the champ, and she was going against Bianca Belair. And at the time, Bianca Belair was just kind of a person a lot of people liked. And so he was like, am I supposed to really believe that anybody thinks Bianca Belair is going to beat Shayna Baszler? And at the time, made perfect sense. It sounded like he was speaking straight from the heart, honestly, but I don't think anybody could really call him out on it. And so that's kind of how it is now. Like, you look at these other people, it's like, are you really supposed to believe anybody's going to beat him right now? No. The storyline, yeah, the storylines were solid back then. They weren't so overthought, and they ran with them. They took it and they ran with it for a while. Let's see. Well, yeah, that's the weird thing, because Drew McIntyre, like, they made this whole big deal. When he was in NXT, he was doing amazing things. He left, came back on the main roster, and then was it last year? Was it last year? No. 2020's WrestleMania. He won the title that year. There's the whole empty arena thing and all that stuff. And it kind of, to me, it kind of just fell flat, right? Only not anything against him, but just because nobody was around. And so by the time people started to be around, and like, then it didn't really matter anymore because it'd gone on for so long. And then I think he fought Goldberg at some point, and it's like, why? Right? Like, what has he done lately to make him still be like a credible opponent? Nothing. You could argue he didn't really do anything beforehand either, except beat Hugh Morris and Glacier and maybe Vincent, you know? I mean, I can't say I've done that, so I guess he's got one up on me. Let's see. What's this about Shawn Michaels? Dude, like, did you ever see the Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam? I'm going to say 2002, maybe 2003. He was like like Hogan would punch him and he just like fall all over the ropes and stuff. He was completely overselling every single thing that happened. It was pretty amazing, but I'm sure like Hogan hated it in the moment. But what can you do? It's Shawn Michaels, right? I mean, it was a payday for both of them, I'm guessing, but let's see. I mean, as it stands right now, they have not built up anybody to do that. Like, nobody. If they could keep people separate. Like, okay, Seth Rollins comes to mind though to answer that question. Seth Rollins, like, they've been building him up a little bit, right? Like, they have him being built up over here off and on, and then Roman's over here, sure. And so maybe at some point those lines will cross, but they haven't really set up enough people, because it's one thing if you set up people and it's like, okay, they're neck and neck, but he just kind of pulls out a victory out of nowhere, which is kind of how he beat Edge, I think, right? So you get to the point where it's like, okay, so he's just not going to lose ever. Got it. Okay, so you have seen it. Let's see. I wouldn't mind seeing Bobby versus Roman. A lot of people really want to see Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. I guess because like they both kind of have like that background in like the MMA, and they're both just big dudes. It could be a good one. Now, I was hoping that, because they kind of like teased it just a little bit at the Royal Rumble in 2020. I was kind of hoping that we would see Brock Lesnar versus Keith Lee, because that would have been a good one right there. Like, no doubt. I don't know how, like, what the buildup would have been like or anything like that, but Brock and Keith Lee would have been solid. But now we're just gonna be stuck with. I mean, I don't know who Brock Lesnar is going to be really feuding with and stuff, because they're probably going to want to make it a big money match to have like the big names in there and all that stuff. Let's see. Yeah, Finn Balor, right? So he had a really good NXT run. He came on to the main roster. He won the red belt, whatever that one was called. He won the red title for a day, and then because he messed up his shoulder, he had to give it back. And then nothing happened after that. He just kind of was around, and then he went down to NXT and was instantly amazing again. And then all that was going on, and he lost. He dropped the title to somebody. It might have Karrion Kross, which we see how that went nowhere. And so he drops the title to him. And then he goes back to like the main shows like SmackDown or whatever. And then again, nothing. They used him for like a month to build up his little Roman Reigns match, and that was the end of it. So I like Finn Balor. He's made some amazing matches. Like I saw him versus Samoa Joe live in Texas during Takeover Dallas. So was that 2016? Amazing match. Followed by Sami Zayn versus, well, I don't know if it was followed by, I can't remember the match order. But also that night, Sami Zayn versus Nakamura, also amazing, right? Who are both two other people who are doing really nothing now. So they have a bunch of people that they could easily be building up along with Finn Balor. And Nakamura, I mean, he's got his thing going with the Intercontinental title, I think, still. So he's not just pushed to the side, but he could be a little higher up, If anything, the IC title should be on like Baron Corbin or something like that. Someone who's like right there in that middle section and can work that easily. I kind of feel like Nakamura, it's like time for him to, step it up a little bit. But at the same time, I feel like if they take that belt off of him, he goes instantly away from being anything at all. Let's see. Kevin Owens is one of my favorite people, easily. Like so when I was looking at the 5-way thing or leading up to title matches and stuff, I was like, man, like maybe now that they're putting Kevin Owens back in the picture, maybe he'll win at some point. Because with the proper build and stuff, I would have been completely fine with, if it had gone to like Big E versus Owens at some point, and then like Owens was the one to beat him, like say it's like a WrestleMania or something. I would have been fine with that because I'm a big Kevin Owens fan. Seth Rollins is cool too, gotta support the home team, right? Us Iowa guys, we stick together to some extent. I say that even though he has no idea who I am, but fun fact, we are from the same place. His wrestling school is actually across the street from my cousin's barbershop. But anyways, so I'm cool with Kevin Owens. I would like to see him do a little bit more in 2022, though that doesn't say a lot because he did mostly nothing in 2021. Let's see, even Becky Lynch characters. I don't know what's going on with Becky Lynch, but I feel like she was in some ways wasted last night with that whole Liv Morgan match. Because I know E-Money and I, we were talking about that last night, just kind of going back and forth, just saying our thoughts on all that stuff or whatever. But when I look at that match, I'm just like, why is this even happening? Like on real TV, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing that just blows my mind. Let's see, what's next here? Had to get something off there. I don't know what that was, but maybe Moxley comes back to like Moxley, that's a weird one because like as Dean Ambrose, I don't recall myself ever caring about anything he did, like ever. Because was it him that beat? Yeah, like because I don't know. There was like that one pay-per-view where the whole Shield like went through the title or something. Because like I think Seth beat Roman on like the first match of the night or something, and then later on, Moxley or Dean Ambrose beat Seth, something like that. Either way, the title changed hands twice through all 3 Shield members. And so, like, okay, well, that's something. We'll see where this goes. And then remember, he did that podcast episode with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that's when everybody realized that, oh, Dean Ambrose doesn't like to talk a lot. Yeah, so that was a failed episode. From what I recall, I think there was parts where like Stone Cold was a little upset with how things were going. But either way, so nowadays Moxley's doing a little bit better for himself, but it's still hard for me to really. I mean, I appreciate him a lot more now, but I don't know that I'm necessarily like a fan yet. You know, he's entertaining, especially with Eddie Kingston. Like him and Eddie Kingston, that is chemistry right there. You can tell that these guys are good friends and all that stuff. Like the way they were doing like their backstage segments when they were like teaming up and all that good stuff, man. Couldn't go wrong there. Let's see. I'll see. And JJ, he saw it. Yeah, it was because I just remember like Stone Cold just asking him questions and questions and questions. Like, so what was your childhood like? It's like, you know, it was like just being a kid. It's like, so what'd you do? It's like, you know, just outside. It's like, what? Like nothing out of him. Let's see. Now AJ is being wasted as a talent. AJ, I saw something recently where he went down to NXT, I guess, for some reason to fight some dude that nobody has heard of because they're probably realizing that they need to make people known. And so then that unknown dude is now on Raw or SmackDown or something. But I also saw AJ is like kind of having his thing with like that black dude where I guess they're mad at each other now. But yeah, ever since the Boneyard match, AJ Styles has just been just kind of hanging out, which is unfortunate because like he's so good, you know what I mean? And just nothing. Let's see. I was wondering the same thing about Bailey. I'm assuming she's injured. That sounds right to me. And Asuka, oh, okay, yeah. At first, I read that as Alexa, but then yeah, Asuka. That is a question I do not have an answer to. I can't even remember the last time I saw her. Like, I was pretty into what she was doing remember when like her and Kairi Sane were some kind of tag team, the Kabuki something or other. Either way, like when that was going on, that was pretty cool. Because before that, I didn't care one way or the other about Kairi Sane. Mostly didn't care at 4 at all. Because the whole pirate thing, and I was just like, this is weird. But when they got together, I was like, okay, something about this is entertaining. And then Kairi Sane went back to Japan or whatever, and Asuka, I think, won the title maybe. And then it was just like, well, she lost it, I think, and I can't remember who to, probably just Charlotte or something, because that's what happens, you know, like if you win the title, then it seems like it's written in everybody's contract that once you win the title, the next step is to lose it to Charlotte so she can get her numbers up. It's ridiculous to me, but tell me that's not how it seems. Ask, what's her name? Sasha Banks. I mean, I don't know if she's ever beat Charlotte in any match that mattered. TNA, AJ, and Joe. That's what I heard. Apparently, like there was some good stuff over there, but I missed all of it because I remember trying to get into TNA, and I remember seeing like Christopher Daniels and the Amazing Red, and I think that's when he was going by K Quick, you know, and Elix Skipper was there. I remember seeing a lot of names that I thought were pretty cool, you know, but for some reason it was just hard for me to follow it. I think it came on a channel that I didn't have, and seeing stuff on the internet back then was just not as convenient as it is now. Let's see, Rhea, Shayna B had a great run. Yeah, same thing with them. Like Shayna Baszler had a solid run during, I forget what year it was, but there was an elimination chamber and she eliminated like half the girls in it, you know? And so like they were really building her up. And next thing you know, she's teamed with Nia Jax. Right? Let's see, Fox. Oh, I when I saw Fox, I was thinking like Alicia Fox, and I was like, yeah, what happened to her? I'm still gonna throw that out there as like, yeah, what happened to her? Because she was like one of my favorites. She didn't do a whole lot overall, but something about her was entertaining. I got her Survivor Series figure right over there, where she's got like the big hat with all the fruit on it. For reasons I have no idea why, but she does. Let's see. Wait, hold on. Hey, Mark's here. What's going on? I missed something. Vince is about to sell. Yeah, it's like but you would think you'd want to put it into good shape before you sell it so you can get the most out of it. It's like selling a car after it's just thrown up all over it. You might, if you wash it first, people will be like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll give you the blue book value for it." But if you hand it over with like a bunch of vomit and flat tires, it's like, nah, not so much. Let's see. So they should unify the titles at WrestleMania and merge the roster. That roster split, it was working out fine in like 2016 because like SmackDown was doing great things. But yes, I thought about that briefly yesterday when I'm like, okay, well maybe with Brock having the title and Roman having the title, they'll just kind of like combine and it'll be one super title in the end. You know, like kind of like the undisputed title or whatever they had that Chris Jericho did. But I don't know, man. I have no idea what's going on there. But we'll see. Also, I know you're just getting in here, and as one of my fellow wrestling fans, you probably missed got this Luna figure the other day, so just opened that up today. So that's pretty cool. And this here, and the Britt Baker from the Lights Out match, right? Remember that with Thunder Rosa? Yeah, those came in today. And the last, pretty sure it'll be the last Jeff Hardy figure from Mattel. Maybe we'll see him pop up in Jazzwares. Let's see. And he says, "How you doing? Love your content." I like your content too. If you have any, I don't know, but it seemed like a nice thing to say back, you know. Hopefully that's the plan, Marks. Okay. And let's see, Hulk Hogan and John Madden both dead. It's already a horrible year. Yeah, I didn't hear anything about the Hogan thing. Your photo looks like a guy that I don't remember what his name was. I went to Russia once, and I remember he was in a bar playing an accordion. But either way, that's what your avatar thing reminds me of. But he's saying it's just a rumor. But yeah, I honestly like I'm not a football guy, right? So I thought that Madden had already died, and that's like why they just like named all the games after him. I had no idea he was still alive, and that's like ever. Like I was just thought he was always dead. It's like to me, you know. So that was just shocking in a weird way to me. I'm like, wait, so for 37 years, 39 years, I've been thinking that John Madden has not been around. Let's see. Hulk Hogan 91. Yeah, you know, I haven't ordered the Series 91 yet because I wasn't sure how I wanted to do it. Because, like, I want the Rob Van Dam. They scrapped the Chase Rob Van Dam, which is unfortunate. The one that had the Japanese sun thing going on. So they only have the one now, which is the Tiger Stripes. I'm cool with that. But there are some other figures in that line that I want. I think that was the one that had the Sami Zayn and the Bianca Belair with like the title and stuff. So I'm not sure if I want to order the whole set or just like pick and choose, you know? So that's why that hasn't happened yet. But sooner or later. And yeah, and Betty White, that was, I mean, I can't really say that was unexpected because I don't know what was going on with her or whatever. I mean, I know that she was super old, you know, I mean, 99 is a lot, right? Like you've done a lot of living, your body's been through a lot, right? I mean, I get that she was probably like not really working super hard over the years because she didn't need to. But it was just one of those things where it's like, okay, it's surprising in the sense that it's unexpected, but then you hear like, well, you know, statistically, let's see. Madden had some killer games. I'm sure he did. I played one once for maybe like 2 minutes and I realized that I was terrible at it and that somehow my lack of sportsmanship had transferred into the game and I never played it again. Actually, like my aunt sent me a report card from 8th grade because I guess she found it somewhere at my grandma's house. Yeah, apparently I was on the verge of failing gym class. Like I think overall got like a C minus. So I wasn't doing so hot. And the thing was, I can see me back then in 8th grade. I was probably able to do stuff, you know, because I've always been somewhat athletic in a way, but I've always been like super lazy about it. So they're probably like, all right, you need to run a mile. It's like, can I just walk it? Because I definitely failed that run thing on the sheet. So there is that. I'll share a picture later, then you can see what I'm talking about. Bianca should still be champion. Yes, she should. So yeah, that whole thing was weird. It seemed like I was saying to you last night when we were talking about stuff, it seemed like they did that to switch things up for no real reason, you know? Like they were just like, yeah, you know what? Let's just keep people on their toes and let's just switch things over here. Let's see. Moves. So I I saw The Matrix 1 on DVD back when I got a PS2. I saw parts of Matrix 2 because we shut down early from work and went to go see the movie because, you know, it was a slow night or something. But I didn't care to see it because I didn't care for the first one. So I mostly just slept through the movie, minus like a car chase. That was kind of cool. So when Matrix 3 came around, I was completely checked out. And when Matrix 4 came out, I was even more so checked out. So I haven't asked anybody what they thought of it or anything like that, but I'll take your word for it because sometimes if you like wait too long to do something, it doesn't work out, you know? Let's see. Bianca's so awesome. Becky Lynch trying to be, you know, I never really put that together. But now that you say that, I I can definitely see where you're coming from. So, because she is being a little extra over the top to where it's not always like natural. Because some people, like when you see Nakamura do his entrance, right? That's just him being him. If I don't know, like if Lance Storm has started doing that, you go, okay, this doesn't this isn't right. Something's gone awry here. So when I look at Becky Lynch, don't get me wrong, like standard issue Becky Lynch has my support. She can be pretty funny when she's like just kind of talking to people, she makes some jokes here and there. But in some ways, yeah, like she was doing a little too much at times, you know. I do like some sunglasses she had on not too long ago though. And I was like, man, like if I wore sunglasses, I might wear those sunglasses. But, you know, then I'd have to like track them down and I'm sure they're for some price that I'm not trying to pay, you know what I mean? Cuz I'm a little cheap like that. But I don't know. It's it's weird, but I I am curious to see where things go because I already bought my WrestleMania tickets, so I'm in there. I'm gonna be there, and all I want is for it to not be a waste of my time. Because when you look at 2 nights of this, uh, like one night that they can usually kind of pull off, right? It may not be a whole night of like greatness, but it'll be like at least a decent enough percentage. But I'm going out there, you know, I'm going to both nights. So hopefully that's where it needs to be as far as entertainment value goes. But something tells me there's a solid chance that the bulk of my actual entertainment from WrestleMania weekend is going to be during like the other events. Like if Evolve, no, I think Evolve closed, didn't they? So and Ring of Honor isn't a thing. Like maybe they'll make a comeback or something. Impact. So I don't know if who is going to be there because AEW said a while ago that they won't do any WrestleMania weekend shows like traveling like that. So honestly, I don't know what the independent scene is looking like. So hopefully, because I mean, WrestleCon is still a thing. So in that case, they might just get like a bunch of random people because they with AEW and stuff, they can kind of just like buy them out for the weekend or however that's phrased, you know. But I don't know. I'm just expecting that when I'm out there in Dallas, the bulk of the entertainment will not come from the bulk of the cost. That's for sure. Let's see. Spider-Man 4D. What? Glad I ate half my popcorn, drank most of soda. It was a wild ride. 4D. Oh, is that where like? Because I think I saw a 4D thing when I went to Busch Gardens when I was younger. It's a theme park up in Williamsburg, Virginia. But I went to see when I went to see Civil War. I saw it at I think it was like a Cinemark place, and like they had these D-box seats where the seats kind of like move and all that good stuff, like along with whatever's happening in the movie, and there's like rumbling and the kind of like a PlayStation controller. It's got that rumble feature, you know. I think it had some speakers in it or something to kind of help you feel more immersed in it. I don't know if they consider that 4D or whatnot, but because I'm honestly not sure what all 4D entails when it comes to a movie. But I will say I did enjoy that movie a fair amount. So I don't want to like oversell it for people, you know, but I thought the way they did it was pretty cool, you know. It, and since I was able to kind of live under a rock as far as like all the news and rumors and crazy like 45-minute trailers that show you like the bulk of the movie, I skipped all that stuff. So all the things that I was seeing happen in the movie were new to me. So that was cool. Let's see. Sounds awesome. You money. Still haven't gotten around to taking the family yet. I may check it out tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I went day one because I didn't want to. It can be hard to avoid spoilers of things if you're on the internet. Like I think we all know that. Like back in the old days, for me, it used to be like when I followed like UFC during like the earlier, say like 2010 era. Yeah, like if I missed a show, like as soon as I got on to like anything online, it was like I don't know, like GSP does this, and I'm like, oh, great. Now I know exactly how all that stuff ends. So that's, yeah, that's the reason I went out there day one. I wasn't in a huge rush to see the movie necessarily, even though I was curious to see how it's going to play out. But yeah, I needed to get it off the list. That and the bigger thing that kind of pulled me in, and I'm not going to say too much about it because I mean, I'm sure there's some already out there that's just public knowledge at this point, but I wanted to know what does this have to do with the next Doctor Strange movie? And so now I know, right? And I'm really looking forward to that. Let's see. It's rough on the back for 2 hours plus. No, you just got to get you like a massage afterwards or something, you know? Morbius. Yeah, Morbius looks like that's going to be a good one too. I can't remember if Morbius comes out before or after. I'm guessing Morbius comes out before Doctor Strange because I've been seeing a lot more commercials for that during various movies. I think I started seeing them around when the Carnage Venom movie came out. And yeah, that one, when I started collecting Marvel cards back in like 92 or 3, I don't know. I think it was the Series 3 cards that had a cool Morbius one in it. But yeah, when I got those, sorry, I got my feet on this laptop desk stand thing. But yeah, so when I saw Morbius initially and I kind of read about like who he was and all that stuff, I was like, this guy seems pretty cool. And he's always seemed like a cool dude, you know? And so seeing the way they are portraying the movie, I'm curious to see where that goes from here. And if they're going to cross paths with Blade at all, because he's like a vampire and he's like a vampire hunter dude or something. So I'm curious if anything comes out of that. But the whole timeline of all the movies and the shows, I don't even know where it is anymore. Because when I went to Comic Con back in 2019, yeah, back in 2019, and like they did the whole layout and all that stuff and projected all their things. They brought out Hawkeye, or not Hawkeye, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and they talked about like upcoming shows. And I was like, man, 2020 is going to be pretty cool. And then 2020 sucked a lot, you know? Some of you guys might remember. It was just last year or 2 years ago. And so now it's like they're kind of getting things back on track. Like they just now put out like the Hawkeye show and like the Loki show and all those things, which were good. But we should be further along in this little universe by now, you know? Let's see. He says, curious to see what Raw looks like tomorrow. I'm banking on Brock and Lashley filler before Mania. Yeah, I don't know. And then we do still have the Royal Rumble coming up in a couple weeks. So I'm curious to see because that's kind of it. You know, that's like the home run stretch or something, you know. whatever they call that, to see like how things are going to come together and actually shape WrestleMania. Usually it's like what is it, like Survivor Series. You see things kind of start to come together, and then Royal Rumble they get kind of like settled and solidified, and then you just kind of hang tight till WrestleMania with Fastlane somewhere in the middle, doing mostly nothing. And then you have Backlash after WrestleMania, which is basically like WrestleMania remix, where they have a lot of the same matches for no real reason. Let's see. Am I a Star Wars? No. So therefore, I have nothing to add to that. Here's the thing: when it comes to like sci-fi space type stuff, I can't do it. I mean, I'm really not into science fiction as a whole for the most part. I don't know what it is. I just can't do it. So something like, say, like Thor or Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever, if those weren't Marvel things, someone told me that they were what they were, highly unlikely to have seen them. But they get a pass because they're in the Marvel thing. So yeah, I don't do any of the stuff like that. Let's see. Kind of, I feel like you just like looked up random wrestling questions to ask people. So his development as a wrestler, he's real quick. I was listening to the New Day podcast on my way back from South Carolina. There was an episode. It was like was it last November? Yeah, I think it was like 2020 November maybe. And like they had R-Truth on there. That dude, he's a funny guy. He really is. But like you could tell that they were parts of, like they wanted him to like kind of get into a story about something, but then like he'd kind of like say something and they start to laugh about it and like make some jokes. No, okay, seriously though, like what about this? Like there's a part on there where they asked him, I think Biggie asked him, like, hey, so what's up with this picture of you and Tupac, like where you guys were hanging out or something? And R-Truth's response was like, yeah, I just happened to be there at that time, and that was it. And he's like, where? Like, what were you guys doing though? So then he has to like kind of get into it. So it was pretty cool. Like, definitely go check that out. But I don't know. I mean, I'd say it's really been no different than anybody else. He's a little more adult looking nowadays, I guess, for lack of a better way to put that. But past that, I don't really have much to say, honestly. And then he says, "What up, homegrown?" He said, "I feel like he's so much better than his storylines." I mean, he's as good as he needs to be, I guess. But I mean, because I've never seen him as like when I think what's a match that I would recommend to somebody if they weren't a wrestling fan. There are various things that come up, and like as much as I like Kofi Kingston, his name isn't in any of those matches. Maybe if it's like a tag team match, because like he's been in some really good of those or whatever. But it is what it is. Random story, I guess, because I'm full of random stories. So also going back to Comic Con 2019, back when Kofi Kingston was the champ, I met him because he was doing an autograph signing, but it was like for this WWE cookbook, which I have not looked at all ever. It's signed by him, so that's cool, and I just have it. But I got to hold up the title and take the picture and all that stuff. And so while he was doing the autograph thing, I asked him because I know he's a shoe guy. So I'm like, hey, in your opinion, what's the most overrated shoe model? And he, with no hesitation whatsoever, Yeezy 700. At this time, this was back in the old days before there were multiple versions of the 700. So he's like, yeah, Yeezy 700. No hesitation. I was like, I can see that. Because, like, those, they are overrated. They are not that amazing. People talk them up like they're, like, the best thing since sliced bread, and they are not. But yeah, so there's a story that you didn't ask for. And then he says something back to him, and is that a syndrome that wrestlers get the sunken chest? Well, I mean, I blame that on Ric Flair or something. I don't know. But him and Chris Jericho both got that, but not everybody, you know. As I mean, I don't think Sting has it, but then again, Sting has a shirt on most of the time. Who else is who else has been around a while? Randy Orton doesn't have that. He still looks very much the same. Randy Orton's a guy that like I would like to see more of, you know? I used to be a huge fan of Kofi until every time I'd watch he'd lose and he had a short title run much to that was much to talk. I'm guessing there's a typo there. I mean, Kofi Kingston's run was pretty solid, even though it was short. Like, I mean, he beat some pretty good names in there. It's just the worst thing was that all that build up to it being like a good title run was just kind of ripped away by him losing in like 8 seconds. So that part is the problem. And then I look at it and I compare it to like old Britt Baker here, right? Britt Baker, she's the current like women's champ for like AEW, and she's pretty good. She's entertaining, yeah. But her title matches have been mostly not anything great, you know? So I'm not gonna say she's like failed or whatever, but her run has been. I'm looking forward to whoever's next because this I feel like it's run its course, and maybe like in a couple of rotations you can try it again. Okay, see there we go. That's what I thought. It wasn't. Let's see. I get the impression Kofi is cool with his spot on the card. He seems happy with it. I mean, he gets to hang out with his friends. You know, he's having matches. He's regularly on the show. He's got no real worry about his like job security there. So I don't. I couldn't see why he would not be cool with where he is. Random shaker question. Okay, you must have meant sneaker question. Yep, man, I see it now. Did the Air Max 95 OG Neons get released on general sale in the USA, or were they like a raffle thing like it was in the UK? So I don't like 95s, and I pay so little attention to their, release. I honestly don't know. I got a pair for my mom, but that was just through sneakers, and I didn't even put in for. I don't think I did it as a draw. I think I just was having to be quick enough and having to go for the right size because Bobby Sneaker World wanted a pair for his son, so I put it on his size. But then he was able to get a pair in store somewhere, so it's like, yeah, don't worry about shipping anything. You can cancel the order. And I was like, ah, my mom's a huge 95 fan. It's her favorite Air Max. There's a random fact for you. So I just gave them to her for Mother's Day or something. But yeah, I have no idea what the answer to that question is. There are some knowledgeable people in this little chat room thing right now, and I'm sure one of them can probably answer what the release was like on a larger scale, but I honestly have no idea. Like, not at all. But I would imagine that it was just kind of like there where, you just go to like footlocker.com, and if you're able to get through, you're able to get through. Because I don't know if they did raffles or not. And then if it's like a popular release and stuff, I know that was during like the weird time. So I would imagine that a lot of stores probably did like raffle tickets or something like that. There might have been. Finish Line is pretty big on doing like, at least around here, I've been seeing things where like they'll do a raffle for some, but then they'll do like first come first serve for others. So even them, they're just like somewhat unpredictable. Let's see. It says they were a sporadic sneaker release, but nothing special. So was there? Yeah. So I guess he's saying that maybe some had raffles and some didn't. Because I know like when I go to some places, like on the internet or whatever, people will be talking about, oh yeah, like DTLR is going to be doing this and so was doing that. But I would imagine that someone somewhere was probably doing first come first serve because I see that a lot, especially on like the kids sizes because they'll seem to be a little less sought after in many cases. So maybe, but I don't know. I don't know because I've seen. I'm trying to think of like what other Air Maxes like the infrared 90s was a popular one, but nobody really seemed to be. I don't remember seeing a lot of raffles. I just remember seeing a lot of people like going to the store and buying them. Like I'm going to be there on the first day, you know. And those didn't seem like they were hard to get if you wanted them and you put in some sort of effort. Let's see. They did do the usual foot site raffle entry through Hibbett, Foot Locker, etc. So there you go. But yes, strangely enough, today the chat things are coming through on StreamYard before they come through on on the YouTube. Normally, that's not the way that works, but for whatever reason, that's how it's working today. So it's kind of a good thing because it used to be like a huge delay in YouTube's favor when it came to like the chat thing. So then I would have to kind of keep up with both sides of the screens, you know. So it's not ideal. Let's see. They were hard to get in the UK and still are. I'm not surprised because like I've heard from a lot of people that they are popular. I mean, Air Maxes in general seem to be overall more popular over there than here. So I can get that. Let's see, they were hard to get in the UK and still are. Jordan 1 are the most popular sneaker in the UK over the last 3 months. Instantly sell out. People paying. Jesus Christ. Now, I don't know what 350 pounds is nowadays. I'm a little curious. I mean, the last time I dealt with pounds, $473. So the last time I dealt with pounds, it was some time ago. So now like 1 pound is 135. I think last time I dealt with them, it was like 1 pound was like 150, maybe 160, you know? So things are better, I guess, but that's still a fair amount, you know? Let's see, hit the light. Hey, Chilltown, what's going on? The Neons had a release like the Charles Barkley's. That's a reference that I cannot decipher because I don't remember what that release was like. You know, and I guess because I'm not gonna say I have different tastes or whatever. It's just like I like Air Maxes and stuff like that, you know. But the ones that I generally go after are usually not super sought after, like not at all. Like my favorite Air Max Pluses that I picked up this year, they were just kind of hanging out on Nike.com, maybe still are. And those Air Max 2021s, nobody was rushing to buy those. But because it's also like the new yearly model or whatever, they're everywhere. So it's like you don't need to. And the Vapor Max 2021, which was a pretty solid release in my opinion, that same sort of thing. Though I would like to get another pair of the Vapor Max 21s though, because they made all the improvements that I wanted from the 20, and I was like, well, this is great. Like, it was a better shoe with a better price. Like, that's kind of all I can really ask for a lot of the time, you know. Let's see. Okay, that's still live. Good. So yeah, but these Charles Barkleys, that I don't remember anything about that. It's like I'm getting like little notifications and whatnot. Things are going live and whatnot. You probably can't tell because I'm like homegrown. I don't have some like crazy like house shaking buzz thing going on that rivals earthquakes. You should have seen him in the live earlier today. He was disrupting the whole life for old. I think was it vlogging with Demetrius was hanging out with us a little bit earlier. Yeah. I mean, I say that I like to make my jokes about random things, but he's a friend of mine, so I'm sure he knows that. But anyways, yeah, there's been a decent number of releases and stuff that haven't been consistent from, you know, store to store, state to state, country to country. You just got to kind of, if you want them, you just got to do some research, especially when it comes down to release dates, because sometimes that doesn't really work out. Like when I got the, what was that called? It was a Jordan 1, the New Love mids. Yeah, those, a lot of people wanted them, but they just kind of like came out like all sporadic like. So I got my pair from like Jimmy Jazz or something like that because I just happened to be on the internet and I just happened to see a thing saying, oh, hey, these are in stock over here. So I went over there and I was able to get them like with no hassle whatsoever, you know? Just like, oh, go ahead and log in, click on this, and have anything else I want? No? Okay, cool. Click on cart, you know, click on checkout. It was cool, right? That's how I like releases to be. And same thing went with the kind of when they did the 20-year anniversary foam posits, right? The Royal ones, those they kept pushing that release back and back and back because I think they were supposed to release around the same time as like the Doctor Doom foams or something, or maybe the top 3 ones, something they were supposed to release alongside of more or less, and they just didn't. And then all of a sudden, it was like, all right, here you go, like no notification. Then again, I mean, I was only following so much at the time because I only knew so much about the sneaker world, but I had to be online at the time, or at least close enough to get my pair like bought and all that good stuff. But man, like those university, or excuse me, those Royal foams, that was one that I actually kind of wanted a fair amount because not because of like the whole legacy, but I like foam posits and that's just a cool blue. You know what I mean? So I was able to get mine and that was pretty all right. Let's see. And what's he saying? Oh, I missed something here. Our Jordan 1s readily available at sneaker stores in the USA all the time. I'm heading to Florida in April. Wouldn't mind picking up a pair from the mall. You are going to want to put some raffles in ahead of time. Like, because, I mean, unless you're looking for like lows or mids, and I'm only speaking for Virginia, right? I don't know what the inventories are like in other states. Lows and mids, I'll see fairly often, right? The highs, not so much. I can't think of the last high that I saw just kind of hanging out in a store. I'm trying to think. Yeah, none are really coming to mind. But also depending on where in Florida you go, could better your chances, right? And so, like around here, right, there's a Nike store that was just built up in Virginia Beach. And so DB Kicks was over there the other day, and he was saying that after talking to some of the workers there, sometimes they'll just get shoes in because I think they had like some random dunk restock. And he asked them, like, oh, do you know when you might be getting anything else in, or what's your, is this normal? And they're like, no, these just showed up. Like, so now there's a possibility that they were just saying that, sure. But I could honestly see if like they were just gonna randomly send stuff to the different Nike stores. So if there's a Nike store near where you're going in Florida, that might be a good option to check as well. Otherwise, standard stores and stuff, you might not want to get your hopes up, but just go in there and see what's going on, you know? You might find something. I mean, there's often other models that'll kind of hang out. You know, I've seen that. Like, I'll go in and I'll see like some random 13s or something every now and then, like certain 5s or something. But I mean, if those aren't your thing, then those aren't your thing, I guess. But, you know, it's something. I'm also one of those, like, I don't like leaving empty handed kind of guys at times. So there's that piece of it too. Florida has a lot of restocks, but no Jordan 1s sitting in Florida. Who do I know that's in Florida in the shoe world? I guess Kignology. He's in Florida, right? Is there anybody else? I don't know. The last high I've seen sitting were the Pollen ones because their shipments were late. I live in Georgia. See, he saw them sitting and he didn't even offer to get me a pair. That is a terrible friend right there. Just gonna put that out there onto the internet. I'm going on the record. Okay? On the record. But yeah, and then around here, I don't really, sometimes you just have different things that sit in different places, you know. Some things don't sell so hot everywhere. Like I bought some, like the foam posits in El Paso would sit like nobody's business because people just weren't buying them out there, you know. I mean, it's also kind of hot, so maybe people just like really, I don't want those, you know, because they are not the best shoe to wear for like breathability, not at all. Let's see. I'm off to bed. Keep the wrestling videos coming. Oh yeah. I will. Will I have another one? I don't know. Maybe if I can get some people together, maybe I'll do like a watch along thing for the Royal Rumble. I have to see what day that is. But yeah, hopefully I have something coming around. I don't know when, but we'll see. I usually get something, you know. Oh, okay. I had no idea where he lived. Some people I just because like I don't really follow him super closely or anything like that. I see him. Oh, but have a good night there, Mark. But yeah, I see him on the internet posting his videos and stuff, doing his little like comparisons of this versus that, to say the least. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's seems to be working out for him. Everybody has their thing that they do. I stick with kind of largely Adidas and Asics things and just talking about random crap. And then you have people like E Money. He likes to do his quick pickup reviews and stuff. So that's one thing that seems to work out pretty well. Like whatever type of content you want to watch, there's somebody doing it in that format. So that is one of the good things. Like even though there's a lot of overlap as far as like the actual content being covered, there's different presentations. And that's one thing that I think is important because a lot of people will say, I want to be like this person. I want to be like that person. And in that way, you've already failed, right? Because you're going to try to do something that they're just doing naturally and it's not going to come off correctly. And then people aren't going to care. So I think it's a good thing to just kind of make stuff however you want it to be, But that's just a side thing for me. Every now and then I like to throw out my own personal thoughts on stuff because that's what I do with these things. That's why they're just kind of titled the way they are. There's no like, oh, Royal Rumble watch time, No, it's just what's going on, people. And then I sit down here and I talk about how the life of my YouTube channel is questionable. Not saying I'm gonna walk away in a day or week, a month, a year, whatever, but you never know, right? I might one day just be like, you know what? I think I've reviewed enough things. Maybe like the right shoe will come along, and I'll be like, you know what? This is a perfect note to end on. Like if I got some Obsidian 12s or something, that'd be a perfect one to end on, honestly, because that's one that I like a lot. But at the same time, there's other stuff that's pretty all right. I can't think of anything, but Nike, Adidas, they throw some surprises out there. Something you wouldn't think you'd like those Plum Blossom Gel Light 3s I was talking about. Stuff like that keeps me interested. But that being that, let's see, what are we? 117. Okay, so probably gonna get things wrapped up here real quick. So before I do, for the people that are here, I'll go back through the stuff that I unboxed. So there was the Luna figure from Pro Wrestling Tees. It says limited edition because when they do their things, they pretty much just put up a pre-order and they only make however many pre-orders they received. WrestleMania 38 came in. I just noticed it's got like the Dallas thing, which makes sense because that's where they're going to be next year. Shawn Michaels, try to get that glare out of the screen. So this is from WrestleMania 26. So I actually saw this WrestleMania, so that's pretty cool. I didn't realize that was the same one because it was years ago. Also that night, Bret Hart in this same setup fought Vince McMahon. So both of these figures are from real life things that I've seen at my first WrestleMania. I had tickets to this WrestleMania, and then the world said no. So that was unfortunate. I had some really cool not glow in the dark, like 3D tickets and stuff. Would have been awesome. And this is from WrestleMania 19. At that point, I was not going to events. And if you noticed this right here, it is a Build-A-Figure, so you can build Vince McMahon. I picked up the Britt Baker, which I've showed off a couple times this fine evening. This here Jeff Hardy, which is an Ultimate Edition. There's a Hulk Hogan that accompanies this in the pack, but that one didn't work out. And then there's the car thing from Spotify. So they sent out some emails a little while ago saying, hey, who wants to test these out or whatever? Just give us some money. If you want to, let us know you're interested. And if you're selected, we'll send you one if you send us some money. So they responded like, hey, you made the cut. Do you want to buy one of these? So I bought one of these. And now I'll see what this thing is like. Probably when I take my next little wrestling road trip. But that's it. I believe that's all the crap that I bought. And there were some shirts that I bought also, but those are over there. So you're not going to see those again. It's just some stuff for me and for my mom to wear to a wrestling event. But for now, since I'm done, I'm going to wrap this whole thing up. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Now that I have spent a nice chunk of my day talking, I'm ready to just kind of like lay it down and just kind of ease on into the night. Maybe watch some Bob's Burgers or something like that. We'll see what happens. For now, though, anybody that came through and hung out with me, I do appreciate it. There's a lot of other stuff you guys could be doing, but for whatever reason, you chose to do this, and that means a whole heck of a lot. It truly does, all jokes aside. But for now, I got to go do something else. And I'm sure maybe you guys have some other things to do too. Later, people.